I love to organize. I've always loved to organize. And, when I got into SharePoint, I found a natural fit in trying to figure out where people keep stuff and then figuring out better ways of organizing that electronic content, whether that's documents or other kinds of information, is something that I really enjoy doing. And this particular presentation came about because people ask me what I do for a living, and I think when you're in SharePoint or you're in IT, sometimes it's really difficult to explain to others what you do. And I tried to break it down into something that would make sense for a lot of people. And the way I describe it was, how when your house is really messy, and you have people come in and try to help you get organized. They label things, they organize them by putting them into drawers or boxes or in the closet in a particular way, and they label it, and everything comes out looking really nice and organized. You can actually find things, right? And so I tell my family and my friends that I do this exact thing only with organizations' electronic content, their documents and their information, their intellectual property. I come in and I just help organize them. And so kind of the jokes came about, right? We're taming the hoarders. We're controlling the mess within the chaos within an organization. And so kind of along with that, there are funny stories, interesting ways that people compensate for not having the right tools. And so this presentation is meant to be all about tips and tricks and ways to get even those really difficult users to kind of find easier ways to use SharePoint or maybe Office 365 tools in order to help them get organized. So that's what we're going to do today. And as we begin our discovery process, our first rule is going to be not to leave our desk, right? We don't want to just sit there and send emails and try to gather information about what we think the user's doing. We actually want to be sure we know and understand how they work. And by no means do I think that we need to visit every single person in the organization, but I do encourage you to get out and talk to people. Find a sample set of folks that you think will give you some really good feedback, and that includes some of those difficult users. And, they may be a little resistant to doing things a new way because they've been around for a while. They're very comfortable with their process. They know that it works. And so really sitting down and getting to understand them, how they work, what the culture is in the organization is really going to give you a lot of good info on how to implement SharePoint long term. You may also find that they may be more willing to tell you things in person. And we often find that when we're working around, not having the tools we need, sometimes we may sneak in that third-party tool that we know we're not supposed to be using, but we're kind of using it anyway on the side. We may also find that as we talk to folks, there are things that they do once a quarter that they may not necessarily think about when you ask all the usual ways they do things. So actually sitting down with them, working them through the process of, their daily work helps them generate ideas on what to tell you, and it also gives you some context on what to look for. And if you can't do one-on-one, you could definitely get them into maybe a conference room in small groups. But I do recommend trying to keep it under 10 people when you're gathering information from each department. So what are we looking for when we go to talk to these folks? If we're trying to figure out, what questions are we asking? What types of things should we be looking for throughout that process?